Hello, my loves. I've decided to record a supplemental piece. The card that I pulled from Natalie Goldberg's deck this morning, card number 9, asks you to write about your favorite cafe, luncheonette, dining establishment, and I immediately thought of my favorite cafe of all time, which sadly no longer exists and has not existed, I think, for probably at least 10 years now. I'm not actually sure when it was forced to close and get demolished, but it, I think, will forever be my favorite dining establishment, and probably the one that has had the biggest impact on my life. The Hurricane Cafe, affectionately known by regulars as The Cane, a 24-hour smoke-filled greasy spoon. When you walk in, the music, all genres of rock, blared from the jukebox. The bar is a dark little room to your left, with one half-moon shaped booth facing the bar and a couple smaller booths along the wall. The main room of the cafe is straight ahead of the entrance and is a long, dark room with 2 aisles of booths and a counter along the left facing the pass-through window for the kitchen. The non-smoking section is at the far end of the smoking section, so you have to walk all the way through the smoking section to get to the non-smoking section. It is about 1/3 the size of the smoking section. Entering the restaurant during daylight, it always took a moment for your eyes to adjust to the darker atmosphere within. Black linoleum tile floors, maroon booths and maroon walls, black ceiling, and a haze of cigarette smoke. I first started coming here when I was 17, shortly after I got my driver's license. My boyfriend at the time was going to the Art Institute, which had dorms in an old apartment building near the Hurricane. Once I'd been introduced to this place, I couldn't stay away. I'd spend hours in its dark, comfortable depths, often alone, with my journal, a pack of cigarettes, and a $1.50 cup of coffee with endless refills. Seated upon an old vinyl seat with duct tape patches over tears due to either wear or vandalism, I wrote so much there. I wrote a love poem to smoking there, and many pages complaining about my life circumstances and questioning absolutely everything. When I moved to the East Coast for a year after high school, I couldn't find anything remotely similar to the magical Hurricane. IHOP and Waffle House were the only two 24-hour establishments, and they are far too bright, don't have jukeboxes, and don't have the counterculture clientele of my beloved Hurricane. The lack of any place remotely resembling that atmosphere that I could find to escape into for hours is part of what led me to decide to return to my home city, along with the fact that I could now enter the commercial photography program I'd gotten on the waiting list for. The first place I went upon returning home was, of course, The Cane. I still remember walking in during daylight. The restaurant was empty. 2 employees were chatting and smoking at the far end of the counter, near the swinging doors to the kitchen. I locked eyes with the guy, and it felt like a jolt of electricity passed between us. I learned later that the woman standing next to him clearly felt it, because she asked, "What the hell was that?" His answer was, "I'm not sure, but I think I may marry that girl someday." I knew nothing of this conversation when he came up to the front where I waited and asked me if I wished to be seated in smoking or non-smoking. After seating me in a smoking booth and filling my coffee, he went back to chatting with his coworker, and I settled into smoking and writing. He filled my coffee several times over the next hour or two, and I guess we probably flirted a bit. Then he came over wearing a motorcycle jacket and said it was the end of his shift, and would I mind if he sat down for a moment. I welcomed him, and he said that he had to get home to his ferret, but he would like to see me again. And he gave me his phone number on an order ticket, if I remember correctly. I wanted to see him, too. I liked that he had a pet and cared enough about it to get home to it after work. I was 19. He did end up marrying me, but it took 23 years, and the marriage only lasted 2.5 years, and permanently ended that 23-year friendship and romance, off and on romance during that time. The woman who was next to him at the counter died in a tragic motorcycle accident a few months after our divorce. It felt like a closing of a significant chapter of my life. The second half of my life up until that point, actually. There's so much more to say on my beloved hurricane, but I will save that for another day. It was so much fun to write this, and it really reminded me of what my friend and I were talking about last night in the disappearance of third places that aren't home and aren't work and aren't school, that where we can meet people. Like, in fact, the friend that I talked to last night, I met tangentially through this person, my now ex-husband, that I met 26 years ago now. I met him first, and then I met his best friend who also worked at the hurricane, who I ended up marrying first, funnily enough. I have so much to tell you. Anyway, and through him playing video games online, I met this person that is now my friend that I'm going to the air show with today. So I literally would not know him without the Hurricane Cafe. How wild is that? And same with my friend who's a real estate agent. I also met her through the same person that I met that day, and who became my long-term, he was my best friend until I married him, and then everything fell apart. But my friend who's the real estate agent, I met her through him also many years ago. So again, without him, and first without the Hurricane Cafe, I would not know either of these people. And I just really am wanting to find another place like that where random people can just meet like that and can hang out for hours and have conversations without any pressure. I mean, that $1.50 cup of coffee, I mean, sometimes I'd get food and sometimes I wouldn't, but that $1.50 cup of coffee, and I always tipped well. You always have to tip well if you're going to sit there for hours and not spend any money. And be kind to your wait staff. But yeah. So, what a fun topic. I hope that you take some of these topics on and find memories like these to revisit and enjoy along the way as well. So, with that, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be wealthy, may you feel at ease. I love you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.